Hello and welcome back to the South American Challenge, or at least what will be the South American Challenge if Gex can actually load in. This is game 2 of a best of 3 series between Sad Boys and CNB. Here on HeflaTV, HB1, I'm GrandisV, and again, I'll be joined by Mikelorus.
And hopefully we'll get this game going on soon as, well, once again, we don't know what's going on. But either way, I said in the first game that CNB probably going to be the favorites to take this set. We saw in the last game how Sad Voids, they had a pretty decent shot. Their Tiny was absolutely huge. They were working with a lot of momentum. I think it just took one bad fight where the Tiny got separated from the rest of the team that kind of unraveled the entire thing. So Sad Voids, with a decent showing, they definitely have what it takes to take a game. They just have to make sure to not slip up because CNB, they're still a quality team, and they will make you pay if you make that type of error.
Yeah, I also think that their draft was a tad bit greedy, very early Phoenix, and even though it wasn't punished as hard as I thought it could have been by CNB's supports, they still got pretty much everything that they wanted. The Batrider initiations, too, weren't really countered out by the Venge that often. The positioning was a little too hard without the items to back it up. No 4-staff blink, I believe, ever came out for the Venge, and if it did, it was at the very last seconds of that game. Really, there just wasn't the greatest of chances for Sad Voids after they lost that fight. They weren't able to gain that momentum again when Tiny was the only one with farm. Hopefully this game around they'll maybe find something a little bit more stable, or at the very least something easier to execute.
He was the only one with farm, and he was also the only person who actually could do any damage. Phoenix and Puck were the other two cores in Sad Voids, and they're fantastic for the 20, 30-ish minute mark. After that, they don't really do that much damage. They have a lot of utility, very annoying to deal with, but they had all their chips in on that Tiny. If the Phoenix was, or if the Puck was, I don't know, like a Queen of Pain who could actually do some damage, or a Wind Ranger, or any one of those heroes, then Sad Voids would be in such a better position. But putting all of your eggs in that one basket and then having your basket being kited around with a 5-second BKB available to him, it's not exactly the ideal way to go. So I think for Sad Voids, grabbing more damage or grabbing more late game damage should be prioritized here. A TA or something like that, I know it was banned, but something like that would have been huge for Sad Voids.
Well, we'll have to see what they end up settling upon as we jump into the draft for game number 2. It is very early on in the draft, and we don't really have anything to talk about, and I don't expect there really to be anything super interesting, at least in these first bans. Probably the same things we saw banned in game number 1 are going to be taken out again.
And last game, I don't think there are any like super respect-worthy bans. Maybe Batrider going to get a little bit of a notch up because Sad Voids had the counter to Batrider, but they just couldn't make it happen. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Batrider being banned out, although it looks like it's not going to be the case. Axe ban, otherwise Axe pick I would expect.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much CNB's choice right now. They'll ban out the Axe, and that'll leave Sad Voids with the first pick this game around. Maybe they'll pick up the Batrider themselves, but Venge is still really good against the Bat. Even though we didn't actually see it very many times in that game number 1, it is somewhat risky to pick up that Bat first. Maybe you go for the Venge and then pick up the Batrider second if CNB don't settle on it. Instead, it's going to be the Earthshaker, and another hero that's really hard to knock. Fissure is just such a wonderful spell, but this is going to leave Bat Line in the pool for CNB to snag up.
Earthshaker Slark is the opening for Sad Voids. That's pretty interesting. The opening for CNB, rather vanilla. You know, it's going to leave the Vengeful Spirit still in the pool, and they might have had to deal with that again, but after last game, I don't think they're really too scared of that counterplay, as they have, pretty reliable support, lots of damage there, and a fantastic counter versus the Slark in both the Bat and the Lion. For Sad Voids, they're opening up with 2 melee heroes. There's always some inherent risk with that, and picking up a Slark this early, though he sometimes does get banned, is also risky because CNB now have the rest of their picks, the rest of their bans to try to lock down this Slark as much as possible. This is, however, consistent with how Sad Voids were playing the last game. A Slark and then maybe another kind of high damage hero. Maybe they'll be able to end the game in 30 minutes like their game plan was in game 1.
Even with these first 2 picks from CNB, they're already pretty well equipped to deal with the Slark. Blink Hex is one of the best ways to get up into his face, and you can't really ask for much more than a Finger of Death to burst him down, and Earthspike even to control him while he's inside the Shadow Dance. If they pick up any further disables, Slark could end up having a very hard time. We'll see Queen of Pain and Disruptor, the bans, in the second stage. They'll further secure the Batrider pick, and I'd expect Vengeful Spirit to be banned out by CNB here.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe pick, safe ban rather. It's going to be Shadow Fiend for them. They do have the first pick right now, and Venge doesn't seem too terrible to grab for the CNB side if they want to do that. It's instead going to be a Sand King. I guess you already have like a Lion to set up for the Sand King, but I think the real strength in this hero lies in the fact that he can do a lot of damage to the Slark, even though he may not be able to target the Slark. Both Epicenter and Burrow Strike will be able to cut right through that Shadow Dance, plus the Spike. So they have answers that they could blindly throw out towards the Slark, and I think that's actually pretty cool. The jungle might get a little bit crowded, but they could also work around that decently.
I think that's my biggest reservation about this pick for CNB is that their jungle is going to be a little bit crowded, and it's also going to somewhat sacrifice Lion's Farm, so his Blink Dagger is not going to come out at the greatest of times. But as long as Sad Voids don't commit a lot of time and effort into blocking those jungle camps, there is enough to go around, and I think it's a reasonable pick for CNB.
All right, so now for Sad Voids, they can't get the Shadow Fiend or Disruptor, both of those two heroes banned out. I think you could assume Slark going to the mid as of right now. Grabbing another support is going to be pretty good, and it's going to be that Rubik. Even with the Vengeful Spirit in the pool, they're going to decide not to try that again. Didn't work in game 1. Don't try it again in game 2. And then CNB grab a Storm Spirit. They are just loading up on Slark counters.
Yeah, and it's very scary. Sad Voids, however, gonna snag up the Night Stalker next. Their lineup, all things considered, is pretty snowball-oriented. Their supports are very damage light, and unless we get to a late-game situation or they get a lot of kills under the belt, Night Stalker and Slark are also pretty light in that department. But what they do have is a lot of control for the Storm Spirit. The Night Stalker is going to offer another silence into the mix.
Yeah, in this game, it's going to be a lot harder for CNB to kind of turtle it out and then come back in the later game. Because if you get Slark a little bit of a nice start, then even though you may have a Storm Spirit and Lion and Sand King, he will just be able to eat all of those, maybe hop a BKB and then just go to town. So Sad Voids, they're playing a very similar strategy to last game. End the game early. However, this time they have a little bit more damage. The damage is not going to be coming from their support. So the game is going to be decided, I think, for Sad Voids in the first 20 minutes of the game. If they get off to a good start, yeah, there's going to be steamrolling forward and pretty much nothing can stop them. If they end up with like a tied score at 20 minutes, if they're even with CNB, then Sad Voids are actually behind.
Yeah, more or less. It does kind of feel like that. The last ban's coming out from CNB. It's going to be a Clockwork, expecting an offlane hero for Sad Voids, and rightfully so. There's not really any room in their lineup for anything but the aggressive abilities of these heroes probably aren't the greatest when you put them into a tri-lane.
All right, so Sad Voids probably going to be targeting some sort of hard carry for CNB. The Spectre, less than ideal going up against so many heroes who want to be ganking all the time. So you want a hero who's a little bit more reliant or more reliable to survive. If you're CNB, Anti-Mage would have been okay for the CNB side to grab. Obviously not an option for them any longer. Medusa, maybe?
Maybe. Right now, Sad Voids don't have the greatest of tools to deal with it, but they could also pick up a Nyx Assassin, which would be really annoying for CNB's lineup, all things considered. I think it's up to them. CNB, they have room for pretty much anything, as long as it has a lot of late-game damage.
They could go into a pretty deep pool of carries right now. Probably not going to go for your Weavers or Morphlings or Ember Spirits or anything like that, as they're just way too many tools on the Sad Voids lineup to lock down those types of heroes. So any stagnant carry hero, or I guess immobile carry hero, is really what they want. Given their lanes as well, they can go for a melee carry. So like a melee agi carry or melee strength carry, seeing as though they have so many range heroes to give them the lane control, and they have so many ways of just disrupting the front line that you could just, dive right in with all your heroes at the same time and just take it like that. I don't think there are any clear picks for CNB, but if there was ever a time for one of the weirder carry heroes, then this is definitely it.
Yeah, I think so too. Right now, what are those weirder carry heroes that could really shine in this game? Sad Voids are very melee heavy, and their ability to actually counter-initiate up against something along the lines of a Huskar would not be the greatest. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but then again, I'm probably never opposed to a Huskar.
Lifestealer?
Lifesteal actually sounds pretty legit here. I think that that's probably a higher ability chance. They have a lot of good targets for that Lifestealer bomb. In fact, all four of them are likely candidates for Infest once they get the Blink Daggers. Very good at kiting around Sad Voids and munches through the Night Stalker pretty effectively. Sure, why not? Looks pretty good.
I'm liking the Life Stealer here. I think Slardar is also a decent pickup. It can let you fight in the early stages and late game. A Slardar Storm Spirit, assuming they have any sort of farm, they're pretty formidable. And it's maybe not going to be complete late game lockdown, late game dominance, but it will be good enough to kind of contest that in the super late stages. It's going to be a Siren, one of the most boring character heroes in the game, but again, they could have gone for anything, and they have decided to go for anything in that Siren. Sad Voids can grab a Darkseer as their last pick. I guess they did need an off-lane hero, and the lane matchup is not going to be terrible, but Darkseer always seems kind of mediocre. He's not really setting up for any huge wombo combo. At least I don't expect one to happen with the Shaker.
No, not for a very long time at the very least. Darkseer is going to be pretty nice to put some pressure onto the Naga Siren early, and maybe can be annoying for Sad Void or for CNB and steal some of her stacks, but I'm not sure I'm entirely on board with the Darkseer pick. But then again, what else was there to snag up in the offlane? The pool isn't necessarily that deep.
You could always go for like your Centaurs or whatever, but I think Darkseer is always going to be a reasonable pick. The Naga Siren is going to maybe have some trouble surviving in this game, as Sad Voids, they do have so many ways of controlling her. If they slip up for a second, though, Sad Voids will just not be able to get that kill because Song Walk Away is pretty sweet. But I don't know, I feel like both the Siren and the Darkseer are just average picks. There's nothing super strong or super great that's going for them in this particular game to make them really clear choices.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit of the Darkseer this game is actually getting illusions of the Naga Siren to get Radiance Burn on your side, and if the Naga does get fat, that Darkseer Replicate Wall illusion can be really powerful.
At the same time, if you Ball Lightning into a Darkseer or Batrider him out, then, well, killing him off is typically a little bit difficult since they typically are pretty tanky Darkseers, but there's not really any way for Sad Voids to deal with that. Darkseer has no counter initiation tools. It's pretty much all in the hands of the Rubik and Shaker, and that's not really reliable. As we saw in the last game, Sad Voids maybe like as a team struggle to deal with Batrider initiations, and Darkseer sure as hell isn't really going to be helping there. We can assume the Darkseer at this point I think is going to be going towards the top lane solo, but that's a tri-lane, and or most likely going to be a tri-lane for CNB, and it's not really the most devastating tri-lane, but at the same time, I don't really like Karuba's chances.
No, it'll actually be pretty interesting to see how CNB lane this, because honestly, the Naga Siren and Storm Spirit against the matchups that they'd be in mid are both more than capable, and I think it just depends on which one they want to have a worse time. The safe lane in this game looks to be a little bit less attractive.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much just it. Like, for Sad Voids, it's either Slark or Night Stalker. In the mid lane, probably the Night Stalker, as you know, Slark getting a little bit more farm is usually a little bit more dangerous, but either way, CNB can, hell, even throw the Batrider in the mid lane and be pretty happy with that. It would make the offlane situation dangerous, but yeah, the laning situation for Sad Voids isn't really that dangerous because they are so damage light. For the first 4-ish minutes in the game, it's all just going to be about farm, but once the first nighttime hits, since they are running a core Night Stalker who's most likely going to be soloing a lane, then the pressure is really on from there on out, and I don't really know if there's anything more scary than a Night Stalker running at you with Ion Shell on him.
Well, it looks like Klotz is going to be the one heading up the mid lane, going for a straight-up bottle rush on this Naga Siren. Although he's not going there now, I'd expect that's where he ends up. As I've already mentioned, Klotz is playing on that hero. Lion is going to be supporting, and he's going to be played by LMAO. The Storm Spirit, handled by Sooth, VSW on the Sand King, and last but not least, our Batrider, played by Ned.
And for the Sad Void side, the Darkseer is going to be played by Karuba. Zap Brannigan is going to be handling the Night Stalker Kezia on the Rubik, Gix on the Slark, and that leaves Gexos on the Earthshaker. Once again, Sad Void's on the prowl, and once again will be Lion to get caught out. Say it ain't so. Alamau is going to get the rundown by the Surge. Rubik Telekinesis is there. In 2 sequential games, it will be Lion to give first blood. What are the chances of that?
I think I've seen that story before. I think he really needs to not do that the second time around after getting caught out by that same gank in game number 1. I would have expected him to be a little bit more cautious. Again, trying to catch out the Darkseer while he goes for that ward, again being met by a full 5-man rotation.
So if this game does get to a game 3, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen again, but you never know. You definitely never know. But the line in the last game recovered very well despite that, so who knows what's going to happen. Either way, Klotzy's just going to try to grab this bounty rune. He is running himself in a little bit of a threatening position. He's going to get pulled back. Shaker doesn't quite have Vision Mana, but now he does. Going to wall off Klotz. Pounce is going to connect as well. Klotz does not have a Stout Shield or anything like that, just saving for a Bottle Rush. He will not die, however. Naga Siren having 6 armor really helping him out big there. And it also shows the weakness in this tri-lane in that they don't actually do that much damage.
Then again, it's still Zaprennigan to be left completely alone at the first creep wave, and even though it's not the end of the world for Klotz, it's still a pain to be forced to go all the way back to base. Lion and Sand King, for the time being, are going to try to zone out the Darkseer to the best of their ability, although SK, at this point, probably isn't going to be contributing much. LMAO is going to be doing most of the heavy lifting.
I would expect VSW to very quickly go into the jungle and start stacking it up for himself, for the Batrider, who may at some point need to go into that situation. He's going to get pulled back down towards bottom. Gix has another pounce, and Ned's dropping very low. This might be a kill for Sad Voids, and it will be Ned getting way too comfortable in this bottom lane. I mean, the damage isn't high on this bottom lane, but when you're taking so many free hits, there's no way that anyone could survive that.
No, they have a ridiculous amount of lockdown. Pounce at level 1 is probably one of the best skills, but now he's going to get turned around upon with 2 stacks of the napalm, and with the supports not close by. Gex is going to get the run down, and the Rubik's actually not coming in fast enough. Gex is going to be dropped incredibly low, but now with the telekinesis support, it looks like that's going to be enough to save the Slark, or is it? He doesn't have mana for another pounce, and Ned might dive this. No, going to decide better of it, but he's still keeping the napalm stacks, although can't get the kill.
He does drop very low himself, but bottom line, he doesn't get the kill on the Slark, and, well, level 3 is incoming on the Slark. Assuming he has the mana, Dark Pact is a very good tool at dealing with that Batrider. You just get rid of all those napalm stacks, and you could also dispel a lasso, but hell, Slark is, for the most part, going to be fine from here on out after chugging that salve. Bottom lane, definitely a rough time for the Batrider, but again, jungle is an alternative for him. Over towards mid, it's going to be a melee versus melee matchup. Siren is keeping even with the Night Stalker at this point in time, but should be pulling ahead once she has her bottle delivered, and she just does.
Yeah, even after missing the first wave of creeps, I think this is a completely acceptable start for Klotz. He is going to crow his bottle, and this career is going to be moving insanely slow, so it hasn't been upgraded yet, but in 30 seconds that's going to be remedied by one of the supports. The status quo is alright for both teams, although Sad Voids do have a slight advantage.
Ned is dead again. Once
no.
again, just getting a little bit too close to the creep wave. Batrider does have boots, but the Rubik does as well. And telekinesis into... Oh, Courier gonna get killed by Gexos. That's a bottle offline. Sad Voids are off to a phenomenal start in this game. 3 kills plus a Courier plus first blood. Granted, they had a very similar start in the last game, I think, but still, this is going fantastically for them.
That Courier snipe is backbreaking. Klotz needs that bottle to stay inside this lane, and it is a weakness of bottle crying with a melee Courier. It just moves so slowly, and now Klotz is going to die again with the fissure block. I don't see him getting out of this. He's going to get punched down by Gexos, or is he? Klotz again going to survive, mostly due to the fact that Naga Siren does have an obscene amount of armor early on. But regardless, sent all the way back to base and not comfortable at all. Sad Voids, they could just end up snowballing this one to victory. Although Earthshaker...
Yeah, they do lose the Earthshaker Batrider in the right place at the right time, and Shaker only had like 2 hits left until death, so very easy kill for him. But this Naga Siren is, in the mid lane especially, needs that bottle, especially when she's going to be facing up against a spammed Void, which does do quite a bit of damage as far as nukes are concerned. She's not going to have a good time, so CNB, their early game is going to be a little bit weaker. Suze is going to kill off the Darkseer up on the top lane, however, and your weakness of a underfarmed Naga Siren can somewhat be mitigated if you have a super farmed Storm Spirit who's just going to be everywhere killing everyone.
And he is, for the time being, free farming, but Night Stalker now at nighttime is going to be flexing his muscles. Even if he doesn't kill off the Naga Siren, it is going to be a hard time. Ned playing with fire a little bit over inside the Radiant jungle, flirting around with the supports, and is going to get caught up by the fissure. Ned should just die here. The Radiant Vision is there. Can they get in range for a telekinesis? They don't even need it. He gladly walks back in to give Kezia that kill.
So yeah, usually Batriders don't give this many kills away. Again, Sad Voids, their lane really excels at control. I guess the Batrider didn't expect there to be an Earthshaker there, although I thought he had vision of that. So you're just playing it really risky, just trying to get a little bit of extra gold. the risk definitely does not outweigh the reward there, so I can't really agree with that play, but I think it's about time for Ned to consider just moving into the jungle. He is getting a okay amount of experience, but he's actively feeding the supports of the Sad Void side. So many kills, 301 on the Rubik. And although Blink Dagger Rubik isn't necessarily the same impact hero as like a fast Blink Dagger on Lion, any form of initiation for Sad Void is going to allow them to snowball that much easier because they'll be able to set up for the Slark or the Night Stalker to get in, and they won't be at that much risk at the same time.
Ned Sadin, so he's going to get lifted up after the fissure. For now, he's going to survive, but again, punished for trying to stop the pulls coming out from Sad Voids. For now, the Rubik is the third highest hero on the net worth chart. It is going to drop down a little bit, but still, a very admirable start for Sad Voids, all things considered. This Storm Spirit feels like he needs to do quite a bit of heavy lifting.
Well, he has the power treads up, and he is getting pretty much absolute free farm at this stage. 31 CS, pretty much where you want to be, and he's approaching that level 6 mark. It's not really going to be clear impacts unless Sad Void actually go straight towards that Storm Spirit and give him opportunities, or at least until either that happens or the Storm Spirit grabs an Orchid. Either way, it should be a very long ways off, and it's the first nighttime phase. Zap Renegade not really going to do too much with it, but even before this nighttime phase, they're already up 2 kills and sitting in a pretty comfortable position. Like this Darkseer, though he's being zoned out a little bit, he's having a much better time than this Batrider.
Even after a disastrous start for the Naga Siren, the bottle now being back up and running for Klotz means that he's actually able to farm at a pretty similar pace to the Night Stalker, which is impressive, but now with the Void committed and with Klotz having no mana, he might just end up getting run down. He has no supports inbound, no TPs, although he's not going to dive, and now the TPs do come inbound, and it's going to save the Naga Siren's life for the time being. Klotz is still not entirely comfortable.
Oh, nor is the Batrider. Fissure into Telekinesis, into Pounce, into Annihilation. His 4th death of the game. Every single time he goes down here, he just ends up dying, and at a certain point, you just can't afford to go down there, because again, you're feeding the enemies, and you never want to be feeding the enemies. That's just not a good plan. So Batrider, he's not going to have a Blink Dagger for a very long time, and this Naga Siren also not going to be able to contribute anything for a very long time. She's a farming mid hero. She isn't able to go around and gank people. It's not how she operates. So CNB with 2 heroes for the most part who are going to be dead in the water, and Sad Voids with a Night Stalker and a Slark who's getting free farm are in prime position to really make good on this small advantage, or sizable advantage actually, that they have very early on in this game.
And even Darkseer, to a lesser extent, can contribute a little bit. That Ion Shell and Slark is incredibly scary. Oh my goodness. Batrider, he might end up dying again if they get the Pounce Connect, and they do. Now, this is going to be death number 5, as it's a killing spree for both the Rubik and the Slark now.
I just don't know why that's happening. Up towards top, they also get a jump on the Lion. Night Stalker, at the very end of his first nighttime phase, is going to collect a kill there. Double Ion Shell, and Lion has no chance of getting out. Batrider just feeding away his life constantly, and like, what reward do you get for that? You get a stack of creeps. There are many stacks of creeps in your own jungle. If you want that, just go there. It's a lot safer. Up towards top, Gruba is going to die to the Storm Spirit. Soothes, the only good thing going right now for CNB, is going to get yet another kill, and again, a Storm Spirit can hold down the fort for your team if your team isn't doing well, but this Batrider just has to stop suiciding. It's getting to be a pretty big problem.
Yeah, it really is. They are getting some farm on the Sand King because the Batrider isn't going into the jungle, but I think this is kind of where...
Batrider's just dead again.
Oh. Why? I don't know. Ned, that's death number 6.
He actually just charged in, got ganked, and then that's just it. Like, I just don't even. I just don't even, guys. Oh, it's like, yeah, the Sand King is locking down some of the creep camps, and Sand King, I guess VSW, is being very quiet in this game because he is just trying to go for his Blink Dagger. That is going to help out with the Storm Spirit a lot. Having 2 heroes jump in is vastly different than just having 1. But, man, this Batrider, he's once again going to go down towards the bottom lane. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't want to insult anyone, but anyone who dies this many times can realize that this is no longer a safe place to be, and you don't want to be feeding the enemies. They're also going to lose their Storm Spirit. Oh, man, that's a disaster up on the top lane. They can't afford to lose their Storm Spirit.
No.
If they're feeding away their Batrider, it's just so bad for them.
They really can't. Well, Execute Gank coming up from Sad Voids, recognizing that Storm didn't have very much mana to speak of and wasn't able to actually respond in any meaningful fashion. CNB need more time. Their lineup doesn't come online until you have at least one Blink Dagger up, until you have the core item up for the Storm, and Naga Siren doesn't come online until you have really Radiance Manta Boots of Travel. And Klotz is so very far away from that. He has the Bottle in the Ring of Aquila, which isn't terrible farm for this point in the game, but it's also not going to be contributing as much as any of Sad Void's heroes, really. Even with the same amount of items, Zap Brannigan is just able to do so much more.
And he will continue to do so much more for a great portion of this game. Really, the only downside I see right now for Sad Voids is though they're getting an insane amount of farm, insane amount of kills, they're not actually taking towers after it. They don't have any heroes that are really good at pushing, and they will never be really good at pushing. That's just not what their lineup does. So as far as killing heroes, yeah, they're going to be great at it, but actually following up, that's not going to be happening. So the structures on CNB are going to be alive for quite a long time, and that's going to provide them with, in theory, a lot of safety with which to farm. But they're actually on the bottom lane right now. Soothes and the Batrider both looking for Gix. That's not going to be happening. I don't think Soothes was spotted, but regardless, the Slark is now way too far.
Yeah, and with access to ultimate, as well as with a decent amount of stats under his belt, Slark sitting on the strength treads as well as the drums of endurance. It's not the easiest of kills for CNB unless they get everything to connect without him dark pacting anything, which is probably a little too much to ask. Meantime, up towards top, they are going to get the jump onto the Darks here, but the damage just isn't there, and Zeus dies to the Echo Slam, as well as the damage coming out from that Ion Shell Storm Spirit giving up his life a second time.
You don't expect that Earthshaker to be there, but at the same time, it's pretty much just a Storm Spirit saying, I can kill this Darkseer off by myself, because Naga Siren has no ensnare. She cannot help you in any scenario, and now Klotz is going to get jumped. Fissure is there, the Void and the Silence. Klotz is going to take a fall. CNB, this is night and day difference between this game and the last game. They're just getting nothing done, and Sad Voids, they're allowed to just go around and get these kills. I don't want to say that maybe the Naga Siren was a weak pick as their last, because honestly, she's not doing too terribly, but it just seems like they don't have any heroes right now. Like, Lion hasn't done that much, even though he does have Finger of Death. The Sand King has been doing nothing but farming. It's just Sad Voids with all the pressure. And Ned, he's going to try to jump Kezia, but he has to be careful because there is a lot of reinforcements up on the top lane that can come in very quickly because of Surge, and they have the long-range Fissure.
Yeah, Batrider isn't going to end up finding anything. He's still Fireflied up, but doesn't have enough duration left on this. There is a Blink Dagger up for CNB's Sand King. And if they're going to come back, I'm really tempted to say it's going to be this item to do it. They need these first couple initiations to work, or this initiation onto Gix. But a Fissure is going to completely block them off, and Klotz can't go for any more. And the Storm Spirit's completely out of mana. Void and Silence onto Klotz. No song for you as they try to come in. The Earth Spike's going to buy a little bit of space, but not enough as the Slark comes in with the ultimate. Can he get off the song? No. The damage is too much, and now he pounces forward. Doesn't catch out Alameo immediately, but the Void rips him apart. He's going to be caught in a corner with the Slark, and that's never something that you can be comfortable with. 13-3. Sad Voids starting to run away with this game.
And they're pretty far away with this game already. 13 minutes in, 1 kill a minute, like clockwork almost. VSW down towards bottom, still has that Blink Dagger, but he needs to be with someone else if he's actually going to make use of that item. The Naga Siren's not going to be active for a very, very long time in this game. Storm Spirit trying his best, but just using way too much mana to really not do that much. He needs a lot of help, and that help isn't incoming anytime soon. Ned has finally backed off in the jungle, but Samurai VSW is sticking around the bottom lane and will get picked off. Blink Dagger or not, he's not safe on this bottom lane. No one is safe on this bottom lane. I, quite frankly, don't even know why CNB are even bothering with this lane anymore. It hasn't really gone well.
No, definitely not. Aghanim Scepter Rush going to be the order of business for Zap Brannigan, and with so many long-range ways of initiating, I think this is probably a pretty good way to go about his build, and he's going to still be a damage threat at this point. Void doing a whole lot of work. Storm Spirit up towards top, looking for the jump onto Karuba. He looks like he's going to be able to find this, but now with the Fissure coming in, Surge away, and he doesn't have enough mana to go for it, but he's going to try anyway. He finds himself the kill in the Darkseer, but at the cost of his own life with the Echo Slam enchant. Storm Spirit, not worth it at all. Third death of the game, and this Orchid feels like it's an eternity away.
And even though it's as Storm Spirit, you're going to feel pressure to get these kills, you're feeding Earthshaker even more gold. He has 10 freaking assists. And a Blink Dagger and Earthshaker, like much like that Blink Dagger I was mentioning before in Rubik, is just going to seal up your initiation game. Already they are getting Ned chased down. Gix, for some reason, Ned for some reason is back on this bottom lane. This time he might survive because Alamau is there. Finger of Death and the threat of Hex is going to mean that Gix is going to fall back for right now, but nothing is going right now nothing is going well right now for CNB. VSW over in the mid lane is going to get jumped by the Night Stalker and then just run down. Another free kill, 16-4. It's a feeding frenzy, and for CNB, they can't get anything done. They're going to smoke up on the bottom lane, but Batrider's like less than half HP. They're going to run to Gix, and they might be able to kill him off with Finger of Death. That'll be a huge kill for them, and they will be able to take him down. Lots of gold for the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how much they actually got from that, and bigger still is the experience that they got for all of those heroes. The Storm Spirit does collect huge, 775 gold, but 577 experience for everybody involved is nothing to shake a stick at. And because of the rubber band effect, all that CNB needs is a couple more pickoffs of that same caliber, and they can be right back into this game, as Naga Siren is farming up. Even though they're at a major disadvantage, don't get me wrong, it isn't over yet, because Sad Void's team isn't that great at taking towers. They put quite a dent into the advantage when it comes to experience and net worth with just that one Slark pick.
And even the late game potential of Sad Voids, it's pretty high with the Slark, and having a Slark getting 6 kills, 2 assists is definitely going to help him in that. But the late game power of Naga Siren can bring you back from the brink of death. Like, she can recover from a game like no other if she's allowed the time and space. So Sad Voids, though they're at a vast advantage right now, if they let up and actually get CNB a chance to get their Blink Daggers, their big items up, their Orchids and Radiances and whatnot, then Sad Voids can very quickly lose the grasp on this game. So with this mech on the Darkseer, I think that's a good item because, first of all, it's a good item, but it also is going to encourage Sad Voids to keep up with this pressure because that's what they have to do. Off to the side, Zap Brannigan is looking for someone, but he's not going to find anyone, just buying space for the rest of his team to take out some more towers, and that's what Sad Voids need to do. Group up and try to look for team fights because CNB at this point cannot fight on par with the Sad Void side.
Tier 1 tower in mid is going to take a spill, and right now during nighttime, darkness is such a threat to CNB's side. They're forced to group up as pretty much their entire team, else they just run the risk of being demolished inside of team fights. Even their ward vision is severely limited. At this point, they're running at this game blind. This ward only sees about this circle, and that is incredibly scary.
And they have a kind of mirrored ward down closer to the Ancients and the Roshan pit, so these are pretty much as defensive as you could possibly get, just wanting to defend your middle lane. And it's a desperation move, and it's not a move that you want to be making with your vision, but at the same time, they cannot do anything else. At least if they do, they'll just be spotted. Like, if you look at the Observer wards for the Sad Void side, they got some on top, they have mid lane, pretty much eyes everywhere. They will know where CNB are most of the time, or at least they will know if any of the CNB heroes are in a position where they can be picked off. And though it is daytime for them, they're going to be playing a little bit slower. Soon the nighttime is going to fall, and by the time that happens, Night Stalker should have that Aghanim Scepter map hack vision.
Yeah, smoke up coming up from CNB, not going to bear any fruits, as instead they look to just turn this into a tier 1 tower push up top, which is fair enough, I suppose, although they really would have liked to get a kill. And now it's Sad Void's turn. The defensive ward's going to pay for itself pretty much at this juncture as it spots out this rotation. They'll de-ward this one up, but at this point, CNB do have intel that the enemy team is looking for this wraparound. Batrider is going to book it. He's been spotted out by a deep lane ward, but they don't go for him. Instead, everybody else from CNB is going to be able to make a retreat, or at least it seems that way.
So it might not seem like CNB actually did anything with that, but having 5 heroes from Sad Void awkwardly walk around the jungle, yeah, they do get a lot of vision down, or at least a lot of counter vision down, and a lot of camps blocked as well. That's still 5 heroes of Sad Voids walking around not doing anything, whereas for CNB, they're just buying small amounts of time and space. It's not huge by any means, because they still are not yet with that relic on the Naga Siren, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, unfortunately, for CNB, they can't replicate what they just did because the top lane push is incoming and it is nighttime, so this tower is going to be destroyed, almost no questions asked. But CNB, they just need to do all the small tactics that they can to just buy themselves any marginal amount of time. Maybe go for this tier 1 tower while the rest of Sad Voids are up on top.
But blink in Echo Slam mid from Klotz with the Enchant Totem. This is going to be a solo kill unless you can get the song off, and no. Gexos with that Blink Dagger ripping apart the Naga Siren. All of the illusions adding to that Echo Slam damage, and that is the worst time to die as a Naga, right before you're able to buy your relic.
Well, she died with, and then she was brought down to 3,600, but then the bottom lane tower was destroyed, so then she got right back up to 3,800. So after all is said and done, it could have been a lot worse than August Siren if she was just a little bit off, but Radiance is now up. Problem is that she needs so much more after the Radiance, and Sad Voids, they're just systematically going through every lane, taking down every single tower. And at a certain point, CNB are going to have to fight. Epicenter is up with level 3 Burrow Strike, and the power of that combination is not to be underestimated, but it is only a level 1 Epicenter, and it won't even do that much damage to Sad Voids right now. Like, even Rubik has level 3 Null Field, and that's going to mitigate most of the damage of that combo.
Lots is now sitting on that relic, and Sad Voids need to make sure that they do keep up this pressure, as their lead has somewhat stagnated. They've been sitting at about 7,000, 7,500 gold advantage over the CNB side for the last 5-7 minutes or so, and that's unfortunate for them as a team. And the experience also is kind of slowed down, even though they're seizing map control away from CNB. Once Naga Siren gets this Radiance, that's when things get a lot harder for them, and she'll be able to constantly keep out these lanes. And even after dying a handful of times, Storm Spirit has managed to find himself Orchid and Soul Ring. You can do a lot with just these items.
And they have the double Blink Daggers on both the Batrider and Sand King. The pick-off potential for CNB certainly is there. Alamao's the only one who really just doesn't have anything, but it's a Lion support. Can't really expect him to have much. It looks like it's going to be a tower destroyed up towards top. Fortification was whiffed, so that does mean CNB can go for a little bit more. Problem is, they're still behind the damage department, so Sad Voids will be more than happy to race with CNB. They will win the race, but if they make an even trade, then CNB are going to be so happy about that, because they can't even defend their bottom lane if they wanted to.
No, honestly, I think this is really good for them, unless they get caught out by a big Echo Slam coming out from Gexos, and he wants it, but 15 seconds till he has it. Can't actually do much, except for get the Fissure and enchant Totem on the Clots. With the silence coming out from the Night Stalker, it's going to be enough to kill off the Naga Siren, but with the Epicenter being channeled, they return and kill off the Slark. They do have the Vacuum to cancel out that Sandstorm coming out from the Sand King, now eating the Void, as well as the damage coming out from the Darkseer, Iron Shell, and the Night Stalker is more than enough to make it a 2-for-1 trade, but honestly, I think CNB are okay with that.
Yeah, they get even tower trades. Even though having your Naga Siren go down is less than ideal, they take the Slark down with her, and they weren't in a good situation to begin with. If you're in a situation like CNB, you're begging, you therefore can't be choosing. However, Alamao might just instantly die right now, as there's a Shaker who's pissed off and has a level 2 Echo Slam. He won't make the jump, but it's not the best trade for CNB, but it is a trade that they could be okay making, because Soothe is the one to get away with that kill, and he's a little bit closer to his BKB because of it.
Yeah, pretty important for the Storm Spirit. In fact, he has both of the major components, long zip in and mid, just to clear up the creep wave. And now CNB are playing the split push game, and that's really all that they can do. You kind of put yourself into that corner when you have a Naga Siren. Not necessarily the best hero at fighting it, really any portion of the game, until you get a lot of major items. And by a lot, I mean almost 6 slotted.
Well, she does have part 1 complete. It's a very late one for a mid lane Siren who's 0-4-0, but for a mid lane, for a Siren who is 0-4-0, having a 22-23 minute Radiance is actually not too terrible. They might lose Almao, though, who has a spike. Will get Echo Slammed. Not quite going to be lethal. Now he's going to try to turn around. He has a spike, which will line up too. Night Stalker, though, getting vision because it is nighttime, and then voiding for the kill. It's a free pick off on the Lion, but CNB would rather lose the Lion than anyone else. Now the Roshan is attempted from Sad Voids. CNB have such a Roshan powerhouse lineup right now, and they can crash this in theory, but they just aren't in the correct position. Like, between Song, Lasso, Blink, Epicenter, Burrow Strike, and Storm Spirit, this is pretty bold for Sad Voids to go for, but it looks like it's going to be unpunished.
No, CNB just aren't close by, and they don't have their Lion, so this opening is going to close very quickly. And with the mischance, they can take this very reliably. Sad Voids will get double life now for Gex, so what happened up in the top lane shouldn't be replicated. The next item for the Slark is going to be an Eye of Scotty, and Gex is well on his way towards that. Has enough gold at the very least for 2 ultimate orbs.
So Gix going to be very difficult to kill, and with that Aegis, I don't think CNB can actually do it unless it's literally Gix all alone by himself with no support incoming. That shouldn't really be the case. We have a smoke down towards bottom where VSW and Ned are going to look for a pickoff. It's definitely nice to do such a thing, but unless they want to use an Epicenter, which they probably don't, I don't really see them being able to pick off anyone, with the exception of being this Rubik who's all alone, and he's clearly not all alone, so It's not really going to be a hugely successful smoke, and they are also going to have to deal with this tier 2 tower push, which looks like they can't really deal with. It's going to be a free tower for Sad Voids, and then they're going to try to go up the high ground, which is definitely going to be the hardest part of their game. If they get a pick off right now, that could just open the door for their instant victory.
Yeah, I think so too. This is where CNB's defense comes into full force. But still, it probably doesn't get much better for Sad Voids when it comes to their ability to actually take that high ground push, since the Naga Siren is so far away from being able to complete up any of those major items and really isn't going to be contributing much except for a song. In fact, no points up in the ensnare. I'm not even going to have that extra bit of disable for the team. For now, they're going to back off. The side better of it is the side lanes are pushing into them, so they'll get a little bit of extra farm onto Zap Brannigan as well as onto the Darkseer before they actually mount a high ground push.
And that's actually a pretty good move, especially with this vision that they have, Sad Voids have, over the CNB jungle. They have one Observer Ward blocking a camp, so CNB will be kind of aware that something's going on. But for Sad Voids, they have the map hack vision of the Night Stalker, and they have ample ward vision. They could very easily just sit and wait near this dire jungle, like around this area, and then make a certain jump. And if it's on the right target, if they get the kill, then they'll be in prime position to go for the high ground push directly following that. So they're just pretty much laying that entire jungle down as a giant trap. And if CNB walk into that trap, well, you never want to be walking into a trap. They will probably just die, and then their structures are going to be in trouble.
Definitely so. The Sand King and Batrider have been tied at the hip for the most part of this game, but this might end up being to their demise, as we do have that Blink Echo Slam up again for the Earthshaker, and this could be a pretty big fight in the making. Lions also close by. Blink in, Enchant Totem on a VSW. Follow up with the Fissures a little too late in coming, but they'll be able to vacuum him back up into that Echo. He'll be dropped down, but he's the only casualty, at least for the time being. Long range Fissure, a little too far away. The Batrider looks to try to make himself scarce. TP attempt, is it going to succeed? Gexos just needs to throw the Fissure, and he's way too late in doing so. Should have gone for that blind.
Mid. They're going to try to go for Zap Brannigan at the exact same time, but BKBs are popped by both Storm and Night Stalker, and it's just going to be a kill on the Sand King. Once again, mid lane is the danger lane, but Klotz, oh no, he's going to get jumped by Slark. Instantly to the song he goes. Purge actually does let you pounce out of that? Okay, well, it technically does keep on constantly dispels the Song of Siren, which is constantly applied, but it looks like there's a small period of time where you could jump out. Either way, Song of Siren getting her song out finally, and it does save her life. CNB, they will maybe be on the receiving end of a push regardless, because the Aegis is timing out.
I have actually never seen that interaction. That's really weird.
Yeah, like, it just is constantly taking the Song of Siren off of the Pact, and then it's constantly putting it back on. I guess if you're mashing it fast enough and if you're lucky enough with your button presses, you'll get it.
Weird. I don't know. Dota's a fickle game. High ground push coming up from Sad Voids. They'll go for this tier 3 tower pretty easily to CNB. Without the song, are going to find it a little bit more difficult to actually set up here. Blinking for the Burrow Strike. They catch out Zap Brannigan. But this Night Stalker's hardly taking any damage. They will blink in. They get the lasso, vacuum him back. But with the Fissure and with the vacuum, the Batrider can't go anywhere. Klotz is in the middle of the fray, but taking way too much damage in return. Zip onto the backline. Storm Spirit trying to get a kill, but he's silenced up and turned by the Night Stalker. If this was nighttime, they might have actually been able to finish him off. Aegis is going to be taken down as Gix respawns and then pounces down to low ground. Kezia flying through with his broomstick, and really has nobody died in all of that?
It was just the Aegis. Once again, much like last game, Sad Voids make the critical mistake of having Gix separate from the rest of his team. Slark was completely surrounded by CNB heroes, was slow to die because he is so tanky, but he did end up dying regardless. And as you said, the Night Stalker was taking a lot of chip damage randomly from the CNB side. The Batrider lasso plus the flame break there was huge. He flame broke the Night Stalker to the opposite side of this little building thing, and then he was able to pull the Night Stalker in after that. So it's a lot of dead time where the Night Stalker is just walking around, not attacking, not doing anything. But Ned down towards bottom lane will go down. CNB, they make a defense, and that was a prime time for Sad Voids to push. It's a narrow defense, but hey, it works, I suppose. So CNB side get a little bit more time. They will run to the Sand King, Burrow Strike, and Song being layered. Gexos should just walk away cleanly from that one. A little bit of a mistake there as Night Stalker is going to close in towards Clocks, knowing that there's no Song to worry about. There's also no Ensnare. Fissure is going to wall off Clocks. There is Alamel coming in, plus Soothe. Spike is going to buy a little more time for this time, but she does go down the end. Gix also going to arrive to this party and kill off that Lion. Storm is going to get himself out of there. That's a 2 for 1 in favor of Sad Voids, and now the push is going to continue.
Still a mess from CNB. They really had no right going for that. A really risky play, and it's going to get punished. 30 seconds on the sideline. Naga Siren bought her boots of travel before going in for there, so there is no buyback. And even if there was, I don't think she'd really contribute much of anything. Second verse, let's see if it's going to be enough for Sad Voids to breach high ground this time. They're going to open up with the lasso into Zap Branding and pulling him under tier 4s with the epicenter Burrow Strike. He is dropping low, but not low enough. They'll hex him up, eventually bring him down, but their team is pretty low. Cost them a buyback on the Lion as well. Zip forward, they get the slow off onto the Rubik. He's going to steal Nerve Spike, but not enough, can't turn with that sticky napalm. And again, CNB make a high ground defense.
My god, I don't know how CNB are doing it. Ned, even though he's suiciding so many times in this game, is getting the lassos where they actually count, and connecting on the Night Stalker like that, it's a hero that they can actually kill off. They don't have to worry about the BKB for that time, and in that time they're just wailing on him the entire time. The Spike and the Burrow Strike and the Earth Spike value are also really carrying CNB here, connecting on several targets every single time, and when you're in dire straits like this, you need as much value from every single skill as you could possibly get. Somehow they take a whole bunch of kills without losing too much, with the exception being that buyback on the Lion, who is going to be hurting for gold in the upcoming moments in this game. But if they keep getting initiation like that, you don't really need a Lion to have a Blink Dagger.
No, you really don't. Class pushing out mid and is starting to pick his pace up as far as farm is concerned. He's at the second slot, is in the net worth chart, excuse me, and although he's 4,000 gold behind the Slark, it doesn't really feel like Gix is doing enough with it. Like, not to say that his KDA is bad and that Gix is playing bad, but these items don't actually break the base and don't actually win the game in and of themselves. Klotz is going to start picking up a lot, and by a lot I mean Mantis, Sal, and Heart, which should be his next two items.
Unfortunately for him, most of his jungle is still completely blocked off, so there's not much jungle income. In fact, there is no jungle income. There's one camp in his own jungle that's not blocked. That's hilarious, and it was also destroyed by Gix. Shadowblade might finally get some value, as it's kind of been a dead item in Gix's inventory, and he will maybe think about going for Klotz, but that's no, he's not even going to do that. They're restricting the Naga Siren's farm by quite a bit, but bottom line, Sad Voids aren't taking Raxes right now. And if you're CNB, once again, beggars can't be choosers. They're going to be pretty happy by the fact that they're not being raxed.
Yeah, and rightfully so. TP out from Ned is going to keep him safe. Gix doesn't find anything, and now with the gem up for the Batrider actually canceling out this jungle farm from the Naga Siren isn't going to be a possibility anymore unless they kill off Ned first, as he'll be able to be on dewarding duty for the rest of the game. Really great hero to get a gem on, and probably the right choice.
Now the income is going to be flowing once again. Naga Siren is slowly getting to the stage where she can start counter-pushing these lanes just by using her illusions and then jumping in. VSW, though, is going to get Echo Slam down towards bottom and annihilated by that level 4 enchant totem. Does a hell of a lot of damage, and Sand King going down represents a small opening for Sad Voids, but actually a pretty big opening. Sand King is an integral part of the CNB's defense right now. Fortunately for CNB, their lanes are pretty well pushed out, but if Sad Voids really want to go for this, then it will be hard for CNB to defend.
Then again, it is also going to be them going for a push without their Echo Slam, which is also a very important part of Sad Void's fight, but much less so than that Blink Burrow Strike coming out from the SK. They're going to go for this high ground push for the third time. Hopefully for them, it's a charm. Zeus is at the ready, has this BKB up and running, and CNB look to prep this high ground defense again. Sad Voids, as of yet, haven't fully committed.
If Sad Voids actually get the initiation off onto CNB, then that could be really good. But so far, the initiations have been almost purely executed by Ned on the Batrider. At a certain point, it's not always going to be like that, I don't think, and it's going to be even harder for him to get those initiations as, you know, 4 stabs and Blink Daggers come up on the Rubik and Shaker. But CNB, they have their Sand King back up. It's now or never for CNB's defense. They have bottom lane pushing out quite a bit, so that it looks like they might get some sort of trade. They don't really want to be making this trade. Ned gonna jump right in, but he gets lassoed this time. Initiation failure. He's gonna get walled just by himself. VSW also gonna get his epicenter canceled by a Void. Storm Spirit gonna jump right in. Huge Earth Spike from the Sand King, plus follow from Alamau. They're all going to die right now. Sad Void's getting absolutely obliterated. The value from CNB is insane. Oh my god, Alamau and VSW, even with the canceled epicenter, just destroyed Sad Voids. They might catch Gix on their retreat. Looks like he's invisible. They can't quite catch him, but it doesn't get much better than that. Those spikes were insane.
Yeah, it really was. I thought that would go disastrously. After the Batrider gets back immediately as he blinks in for the lasso, and after the epicenter got cancelled. But 4-man Burrow Strike into 4-man Earth Spike. Gix in mid, going to get TP'd upon. He does have some Fissure support, but the Burrow Strike again catches out too. Gexo's down, now Gix gonna get hexed up and is also going to fall. There's no buyback on that. Slark, CNB. Third time high ground defense, and in a huge way, they're back in this game.
Looks like third time isn't, in fact, the charm. This is looking an awful lot like the last game, where CNB are on the back foot, staring down the barrel, and they just bounce back and rally. It's VSW's Lion. It's VSW's Sand King. It's Alamau's Lion, helping them in great part in doing it. Not to mention the Storm Spirit being able to convincingly jump in and just do a truckload of damage with his base kit. The Naga Siren is getting slowly but surely bigger and bigger, and though CNB can't really crack back into this tower necessarily, they're definitely scaring Sad Voids. It's about 40-50 minutes where their lineup as a whole starts to drop off, because Night Stalker's right clicks don't really get that scary unless you're actively building damage, and right now he's not. It's really only the Slark who's doing severe damage. Everyone else is on a more utility, kind of slower damage roll, so CNB, it's by no means over for them, but if you just look at these graphs, that's pretty much what is happening. Sad Void's lost 8,000-ish of lead.
Yeah, a cliff straight down into the pits, and CNB now have their Naga Siren at the top of the net worth chart. They have the experience completely zeroed out, and Sad Void's, the high ground push, even when they had that advantage, was already hard enough. Even if they have an Aegis, I'm not sure they can do it, and this Aegis is not going to be theirs as they're scouted out. Look at that Rubik. He's torn apart by that Naga Siren illusion, and their Roshan is not fast enough. CNB are collapsing upon this, and their fight in such a crowded area is amazing. If they can somehow win it here, Sad Voids, I really fear for their chances. Double damage on the Night Stalker is going to help, but they blink and lasso. They find Gexos. This time the vacuum's not going to be there, but they do get the lift, and Ned is going to die yet again. Zip him from the storm, going to the backlines, has the BKB. Zeus isn't taking that much damage from right clicks coming out from, excuse me, the Night Stalker. Jump in, Burrow Strike isn't going to connect onto all that much, and the epicenter doesn't do enough damage. Fissure catches out Zeus up in the high ground. Storm Spirit down, Ball Lightning stolen by the Rubik. The Naga Siren illusions are there, but can't clean up anything as the Slark is going to go to town onto Klotz. Klotz forced to try to TP out. Gix does not have a basher, no way to cancel that channeling. But CNB still lose 3. Jump in, Sand King, why are you going in there? Grand Theft Gem, he can't get it. VSW down, and Gem as well, going to hit the deck. As Gexos secures that, CNB find themselves in a disastrous fight.
So even though CNB have a really good Roche fighting lineup, as in fighting near the Roshan pit, that was not a fight that you want to be making. First of all, they know that Zap Brannigan has the Aghanim Scepter. They obviously know it's nighttime, because duh. If your Batrider's moving in like that, he's going to be seen. That's a fact. So the Sad Void side were obviously ready for that. They lose the Batrider, yet they still decide to continue without that Batrider in a 4v5. And it might be that CNB are a little bit too comfortable in this game. They think they're more ahead than they really are, because you don't take 4v5s like that unless you know that you're vastly, vastly ahead, and that clearly isn't the case in this game. So CNB, they throw a whole bunch of skills into the Roche pit, and now they have to deal with a Slark with a double life. It's another chance for Sad Void to actually break this base. Fortunately for CNB, they will have everyone alive. Unfortunately for them, they lack the epicenter, which didn't really do that much because of the pipe in the last fight, but they so desperately need this, or miracle spikes. They're going to jump in with the Ball Lightning. Ned and Alamo going to get locked down. Ned going to get a little bit of help from the Sand King, but it's not enough. They're going to take down the Earthshaker in response. Now Gix getting his mana drained, being focused down by everyone. The rest of the Sad Void's heroes, though, going to go straight for the racks, as no one on CNB can really deter them from this. Klotz has a song, might have to use it just to stall out. Less than ideal, and he will pop it right now. Just gonna let the Storm Spirit try to get back to the base, refill in mana, refill in health. VSW has an epicenter cooling down. He will start priming that right now. Does he have a blink in? He's going to jump right back to the back lines. Zap Renegade and Kezia taking a lot of damage because, but they will both survive. Sooth gonna try to jump in at the same time. He's gonna get lifted up into the air. However, no BKB. He does need to buy back right now, and he will do so, but the Rax is still standing for right now. Blink Burrow Strike onto 3. Alamau's gonna look for a spike of his own. Will miss completely. Zap Renegade trying to go for the Raxes, will get killed. In the meantime, the Rax is dropping low, and they can't quite save him because Gix is Shadow Dance up. However, they will lose Karuba. They Burrow Strike through the Shadow Dance. Slark now on the run, has the Aegis still. Will get spiked up, and he will lose his Aegis. There's a Burrow Strike waiting for him when he responds. However, the Storm Spirit is completely out of mana. There is a Hex as well. Gix is also going to get lassoed. It's going to be a complete team wipe in favor of CNB. Can they get anything on the crackback, however, because everyone minus the Darkster on Sad Voids have buyback, and they did take down the melee Rax.
Yes, they did, but at this point, I'm not sure if that melee barracks is even worth it in its entirety. The Naga Siren can easily push out that lane by herself, and the rest of the team also are pretty good at dealing with those super creeps. Sad Voids, they find themselves an advantage, don't get me wrong, but it's not the end of the game either for CNB.
And still, I'm so impressed with VSW in this game and just in the entire series. The burrow strikes, I think, are, I don't want to say completely keeping them in this game, CNB, but they're definitely helping. So many value burrow strikes so often, and if you land a burrow strike on 2, you're going to be really happy, especially if there's an epicenter already channeled. Granted, you did get a lot of help from the Naga Siren, who is now starting to do a little bit more damage herself, but CNB, they're making so much happen with so little. And even though they do lose their melee Raxes, even though the secondary push is incoming this time with a total of 5 levels of Necrobook aiding that push, CNB, they're not completely out of it. Still, the net worth lead and the experience lead is not absolutely crushing in this game.
No, it's not. This Necrobook pickup coming out from Sad Voids really kind of feels like it's an all-in thing. They have 2 levels up on the Night Stalker, 3 on the Darkseer, and Rubik has also freshly picked up 1, 2. CNB don't have the greatest team to kill off those Necrobooks, and if anybody but the Naga Siren actually kills them, they might end up just straight up dying. It's going to be really annoying for them.
Well, they do have Storm Spirit with a BKB and a BKB on the Sand King, so maybe they could, try to tank that through. But yeah, the Necrobooks are going to be really difficult, and I actually like this itemization from Sad Voids. The Night Stalker is the only one outside of the Slark who can actually be building damage, and they know that they're on some sort of timer. Slark is probably not going to be going for a Necrobook himself, but just adding to that push with anything that you could possibly get is going to be the name of the game for Sad Voids, because at the end of the day, they're still up against Naga Siren, and they're still going to be on a kind of a late game timer. So just YOLO pushing with those seem to be the name of the game. I would like to see a Basilius and or Vlad's in kind of the same effort to try to aid in the push.
Yeah, it's such a cost-effective item. There's really no reason to not have one on one of your heroes. At this point, I don't think Earthshaker really needs that soaring. Maybe just replace that inventory slot with it. But also, this Earthshaker's sitting on a large chunk of gold. Do you go for a Necrobook on him too?
Yeah, I mean, going for something like a Shiva's Guard could also be good for the exact same reasons. Auras are huge right now for these kind of low damage heroes of Sad Voids. But more Necrobooks is always going to be better. Like, would rather have more than less. And he's already sitting on level 1, I believe. Can you buy level 1 with 3100? I'm not quite sure if the math checks out there. Yeah, you can buy level 1. So, yeah, I think just mass Necrobook for everyone except for the Slark, and then it will do a lot of damage guaranteed. And that's sounds pretty good to me.
Well, for now, we're waiting for VSW to reconnect into this game, and hopefully it's not going to take too long. PC issues and internet issues and all sorts of issues abound in South American Dota, as we have kind of gotten used to. Naga Siren for now is going to be going for Butterflies, their next item with the Talisman Evasion already picked up. Although it's a long way incoming, CNB are getting closer and closer towards a 6-slotted Naga Siren.
It almost feels that it isn't doing anything right now with the Siren, though. Like, she's in the fights for a very long time, and she's, for the most part, surviving. I don't know when exactly the last time was where the Naga Siren went down, but she's going to need to step up her damage department, and that Butterfly is going to be that item. I think Diffusal might have been a little bit of a better choice for CNB, just so that they could fight a little bit earlier for about the right now time period. But if Naga Siren somehow does find enough gold to grab a completed Butterfly, then suddenly she's going to be going from this super tanky hero to a super tanky hero who could kill you very quickly. And even having like those illusions, being able to kill off those Necro units, it's a very slim chance that that happens. But if it does, it's better than anyone else killing them off and taking that last will damage.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully we'll be able to commence with this game. It's already been quite a long one. But at the very least, it's been interesting. There hasn't been any lack of good fights coming out from CNB. 4 times Sad Voids have tried to breach high ground, and eventually they made it, but it's cost them a lot of their advantage.
And even one lane of Raxes, though it's very nice for Sad Voids, it's not going to be like, okay, we got the Raxes, we win the game, as If it's 20 minutes in the game, if you turn the clock back 20, then that's pretty much the case. It's hard to come back from super creeps 20 minutes in the game. But when you have a 5, 6 slotted Naga Siren, one set of super creeps isn't really going to be that huge because just a couple of Naga Siren illusions can run down the lane. Your creeps are going to get all jumbled up, and the Radiance Burn combined with the Riptide is going to make it so that you can't rely on that lane to be continuously pushing. At least it won't always be continuously pushing. So Sad Voids need several lanes of Raxes. So part 1 is complete for them, but the secondary and tertiary parts are still a little bit of a ways away. And the next time they go for a push, if it's soon, they won't have that Aegis. And it doesn't seem like they would need an Aegis, but given how these fights are going on, how CNB are executing these fights, Sad Voids need that additional advantage if they're going to be convincingly taking Raxes.
Well, Sand King is going to reconnect and will get out of the way too. Yeah, it really does feel like Sad Voids are kind of on the back foot now after such a long time of having a commanding lead. Really, you can't ask for a better start than what they got inside this game. And it really goes to show how well CNB are executing their teamfight combinations. For now, the game's slowed down and Sad Voids don't want to go for anything since Roshan isn't up again. And we'll probably be waiting for quite a long while still until they do have an Aegis or at least the potential to go for that. I'd expect that to be our next major fight.
And as Klotz gets more items, it's going to be harder for Sad Voids to go for Roshan because while they're all in the Roshan pit killing him off, the other lanes are going to be pushing in, and it's probably not going to be like base-threatening amounts of damage, but it's going to be concerning to Sad Voids because they need someone to be not in the Roshan pit, whereas for the Naga Siren, yes, she won't be helping out in that Roshan pit actively, but she will have travels so that eventually she can help out. So, like right now, you see the Darkseer up on the top lane. He has no way of actually aiding a Roshan pit fight should it randomly respawn right now and a fight would break out, whereas the Naga Siren can. So CNB have that mobility advantage given their travels on a hero who's inherently really good at split pushing.
Definitely. So Sad Voids are getting pushed in quite constantly, as we kind of see. They're stuck for the time being on their side of the map. The Naga Siren illusions are omnipresent. They don't really ever stop. Klotz22 is farming up his jungle effectively, as well as farming out the enemy jungle and the bottom lane too. Can't really ask for much more, although potential pickup on the Batrider Bruin as Slark comes in with the Shadow Blade. He's spotted out with the gem, and Batrider will be able to make a quick Blink Force Staff out.
Not exactly the map hack vision of the Night Stalker, but it's still pretty easy to get around that fact. He actually does have some support incoming. They see the Darkseer, they see the Slark. They definitely have enough power to kill off those heroes, but the risk and reward factor, once again, does not bode well for CNB, so they will just decide to back off. As long as Sad Voids aren't applying pressure to the CNB base, then Sad Voids aren't winning. Like, they have to be applying this pressure, and that's where this Roshan is going to be of the utmost importance. It comes down somewhat to luck. If it's a short respawn timer, then it favors Sad Voids. If it's max length, then CNB are going to be so happy.
Definitely. So somewhere in the middle, it ends up getting jumbled who actually gets the advantage, and that all depends on the fight execution from both sides. The Necronomicon was popped out by the Darkseer, so that's going to be on cooldown for a while yet, about a minute. But really, I don't think that matters in the slightest. Sight Device is now up for the Storm Spirit, even though Naga Siren's been sucking up most of the map's resources. Zeus still has managed to find himself a serviceable amount of gold, and Storm is also doing a decent chunk of damage himself, and with the BKB up on the Batrider actually countering his initiation, now isn't really a possibility for Sad Voids, unless they have an Abyssal up for the Slark, and he's not even going for one.
He's going to be going for the MKB because he sees the Talisman of Evasion on the Naga Siren. I don't think there's going to be anyone else in CNB to get any sort of evasion-y type items, but if you see a butterfly, get an MKB. It's a pretty easy rule of thumb there for Dota in general. And Naga Siren will have the completed butterfly momentarily. Does she have the... she has the Eagle Song, just lacking that final piece, and she's pretty much there already. But Slark now does have a way of canceling TPs at the very least, I suppose. Small chance of canceling epicenters. The mini bash of the MKB is going to be pretty useful in this game.
Yeah, Gix picks the fight with a handful of Naga illusions, and already they're just so annoying to deal with. They'll commit quite a bit in killing those off. The item for the Earthshaker is, in fact, going to be a Necro Book. 1 level up for him already, and almost at level 2. That's going to bring the Necro Book total up to 4, and the total amount of levels that are picked up, we have 2 3s and 2 1s up for the team, with Rubik and Earthshaker the ones lagging behind a tad.
Man, 8 levels worth of Necrobook. That's an insane amount of like mana burning and stuff like that. But also that last will damage is going to be really hard for CNB to convincingly deal with. Sad Voids, they're grouped up in mid. It is, I guess I could say, organic nighttime, real nighttime. And they're going to do what they can with it. But with so many Naga Siren illusions running pretty much everywhere, the odds of Sad Voids getting the jump on a CNB hero is very, very small. And if they do, it's most likely just going to be a support who's out by themselves, like Alamo right now.
Yeah, they have to commit like 3 to 4 enemy heroes to actually stop the Naga Siren illusions, and while that's happening, she'll pop Manta in mid, push that out by herself, and then the Sand Kings will pushing top. They really just need...
Oh,
I don't know what they need. Roshan.
Yeah, 50 seconds, very short. They're going to grab Gexos, though, bring up to the high ground. He has a Force Staff, so he actually doesn't care about this. They're also going to steal Napalm, not really too relevant there. But now Batrider, he's awkwardly stuck here all alone. Lasso and a 10-second BKB charge used for nothing. Ned's Batrider play, not that great this game. It will be up by the time Roshan is up, but still, that BKB will not.
Yeah, I don't think we can take too much away from Ned. Game 1 looked really solid, and in those first 2 high ground defense fights, absolutely crucial to all of it. But still, this was probably the worst start I've seen on a Batrider in a long time. Yeah, dying 6 times in the lane definitely doesn't help at all. But since then, I suppose he's gone 1, 4, and 7, so you can't knock it too much.
Up towards top. This is the game plan we see right now for CNB. Split pushing and ratting this game out, at the very least to try to delay Roshan, is going to be what they're going to try to do, and hopefully for them they don't really lose anyone. Fortunately for them, VSW is going to dance around the Night Stalker and will keep himself safe, but you can't really do this forever. At a certain point, your Naga Siren is going to get caught off guard, or someone's going to get caught off guard, and then the status quo will break. They will run to Zap Brannigan, who is in Viz right now, and Alamo is being run down by Gix. He does have backup here in VSW. Burst Strike not going to do too much. Alamo looking for a spike as well. It's only a 2v4 right now for the SV side. They will lose their Slark immediately. Zap Brannigan, the BKB, not doing too much damage to VSW right now. Spike through after the BKB is done, and Zap Brannigan's going to die. You don't take 2v4s? I don't know what else to say.
You can. Sad Voids, they didn't have any backup close by. There are boots to travel up for the Darkseer, but he couldn't get there fast enough. They did not expect CNB to have that much behind them, and really, I'm not sure why you'd make that assumption. It's just too risky, really.
Like, the Storm Spirit is going to be pretty much anywhere, I think, so you could at the very least assume that there's going to be one additional hero popping up, and Batrider also has quite a bit of mobility with a Blink Force, so the Aegis, which would have given Sad Voids their chance at going up the high ground, is now being possessed by the Storm Spirit. The cheese, who has the cheese? The Batrider has the cheese. Not really super ideal for CNB, but hey, they have the cheese and Sad Voids don't, and Storm Spirit with an Aegis is an absolute powerhouse. CNB have effectively bought themselves another 3 or 4 minutes at the very least to try to replace this Ring of Aquila from the Naga Siren, and then try to slowly constrict the lanes and actually take some severe structural damage towards Sad Voids. This game is turning into a full-on Naga Siren game, and that's what Sad Voids wanted to avoid. That's what their entire draft was designed to prevent.
And they weren't able to do it. This last slot for Naga Siren, not exactly sure what it's going to be. Honestly, I'd be completely fine with just straight-up damage. Kloss is already so hard to kill, but I couldn't also, like, knock a Scotty. Well, as long as it's a big item, Scotty, Daedalus, Abyssal Blade even, I don't think it matters much. Kloss is completely capped.
Yeah, I have Scotty is probably going to be pretty appealing since it gives you that extra agility. Diffusal Blade is also another item that we see occasionally picked up by Sirens because it does give you quite a lot of cost-effective agility, and it also does give you that mana burn. They're going to jump in Batrider, failing to initiate with that lasso, however. Probably a good thing because Storm Spirit is so far away, but they will just back off, and all of a sudden Sad Voids are applying absolutely no pressure to the CNB side, and their lanes are being constricted very, very hard.
It is an Eye of Scotty, and it's all the way done for Klotz. Naga Siren doesn't get any bigger than this. Eventually, you can get into some clowny stuff with extra couriers, with Refresh Orbs, Necro Books, and an Abyssal Blade to replace out the Radiance, but as far as raw increase in power, Naga Siren's pretty much at that cap.
Soothes will get a little bit stronger, however, with the Storm Spirit. He has the eventual Aegis spot to replace, and I think that's about it. Travels, of course, after you feel like your power treads aren't good enough, but one more spot to fill for the Storm Spirit, and he could even go into some serious damage himself. His ability to survive given Ball Lightning lets him have so much extra time to just get a couple more right clicks out. And if it is something like a Daedalus or even like a Mjolnir, then Soothes can be seriously dishing some damage. If you look at the state of the map right now, what was once right in the front door of CNB is now right in the front door of SV. And these Naga Siren illusions are just making life so difficult for the SV side. And by doing this, CNB are pretty much mitigating all the Necrobooks. They're going to jump in, throw the Finger of Death towards the Darkseer. He will die before he get a single spell off. Finger of Death stolen, which is pretty nice for the Rubik. In the meantime, VSW being chased down by both Slark and the Night Stalker has the Epicenter. He will start to prep it. No mini stuns. The Epicenter will do quite a bit of damage to Gix, although it won't be lethal just yet. He will Shadow Blade out of there. But up towards top, Klotz is starting the split push. It's a 1-for-1 so far, and they have to deal with this Naga Siren. Just going to town on this tier 3. Earthshaker off to the side, however. Blink, no real stuns just yet, and there won't be a stun because there's the song. They have Alamouse setting up. They have bottom lane pushing in. If this is just a stalling song, that's good enough, as Gix over towards bottom lane is going to get sheeped up. Lasso not available, but the damage is enough. Gix is down. He does a buyback. He will instantly use it. But in the meantime, top lane is just stalling out for the bottom lane. CNB are playing this one out perfectly.
Cheese going to be munched down by the Storm Spirit, and it goes to show how much mana he actually has. It didn't even give him a full restore. Ned pursued out by the Slark, but in the meantime, Night Stalker is going to end up giving his life to the Battery to get to the high ground, and Kezi is getting assassinated by Zeus with the BKB on. The pipe is going to save his life for a little bit longer, and they are going to be able to turn a finger into Zeus, but he has an Aegis and ready to fight. The Naga Siren and the Lion coming in from the north. They will land a Fissure onto him. Zeus is getting chain stunned with the Echo Slam and the Enchant Totem. They'll be able to kill him off, and now Alameo is also stuck inside the wall. 3-for-1's the trade, but still CNB have not lost control yet. Their Naga Siren, and the source of most of Sad Void's troubles, is still alive.
Well, she's going to get jumped by Gix. She has a Song of the Siren into a TP right now. She's going to do just that. She has to leave, though, right now, and she will do so, keeping herself alive, and even if she did die, she would have buyback. Kind of an unfortunate play for the Lion. Blinked right into a lasso. It's hard, not into a lasso, into a vacuum, and it's damn near impossible to avoid that. But 2 heroes from CNB are down. Sad Voids, this is technically an opening for them. It's a chance to use the pushing power of these Necrobooks, but still, bottom lane is being pushed out really hard. Top lane momentum is there. They won't be able to push with their full 5-man team.
Well, again, we're going to see the Sand King disconnect, and hopefully his issues will subside, although I have my doubts. CNB definitely need him for the defense, but lucky enough for them, all that they lost was a Lion who's not at level 25, so he's going to be respawning soon enough, coinciding with the Night Stalker, more or less, and then Storm Spirit with 9 charges up in his Bloodstone is back in a mere matter of seconds, too. I don't think Sad Voids can convincingly do anything with those pickoffs, although it is a step in the right direction for the team.
Yeah, so Sad Voids need to get themselves in the mid lane with as many people as they possibly can if they actually want to make good on these pickoffs. If not, Slark already did use a buyback, so if CNB don't have to deal with the push right now, then in 30 seconds when they have everyone up again, I'm pretty sure we're just going to see the exact same thing. Klotz pushing up the mid lane, a couple heroes from CNB pushing down the bottom lane and a little bit towards the mid lane as well. And then Sad Voids, if they lose anyone, then it might just be game over. Naga Siren can very quickly kill off the Raxes once the main hero is actually on top of them. And Klotz so far is not doing that because that's pretty much suicide, but slowly but surely Sad Voids will lose this game unless they actually get pickoffs and then get something after those pickoffs.
Yep, I think they need to replicate that at least another time and time again in order to really accomplish that. Unless they kill off the Naga Siren, and then kill her off again after the buyback comes out. If they're able to force that, that's where Sad Voids actually have potential to win. The walls this game have been alright, but Darkseer has yet to really catch out the Naga Siren inside that wall. But if he does, that is an illusion that's doing a truck ton. 90% damage of the Naga Siren, as well as having that Radiance burn inside the fights is huge.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, though, because Darkseer wants to use his vacuum wall combo on 4 or 5 players, but I mean that's obviously the dream for anyone with a team fight ultimate. But the odds of CNB grouping up that tight or even being in the same lane as that many players is so damn small. They're split pushing all the time. And if you just drop the wall in the Naga Siren with the vacuum, she's just going to walk away. Like, there's nothing you could do about that except for hope that your Earthshaker and Rubik are there to keep her in there. And even then, it's not going to be enough because your side lanes are going to be pushed the entire time. So it's something that is definitely an asset for Sad Voids, but it's an asset that is very difficult to spend because you know that the ceiling on that skill is so high, and you don't want to be throwing it just to get the floor of that skill.
No, definitely not. For now, we've stalled out, and really this game felt like it's a lot longer than 52 minutes, probably because it has been, with all pause time included. Really, the state of the game hasn't changed much at all, and CNB are happy about it. It's really only going to take, like, one major fight for them to reach high ground, and Sad Voids just need to avoid it. Fortunately enough, the Sand King is reconnecting.
Right, and Sand King also has a little bit more in the ways to go. We saw how much damage his Epicenter did towards that Slark. Did do quite a bit. I guess the downside of CNB split pushing is that also their Sand King Epicenter gets a little bit worse. When you want to be using that Epicenter into 5 heroes, best you could probably do is 2 or maybe 3. So Epicenter isn't even that relevant, but he's going to go for a Necrobook himself. And that's actually a pretty smart move. It's kind of hard to say, oh, 50 minutes in the game, go for Necrobook. But if your entire game plan is pushing, then Sad Voids, they already shown that Necrobook is the build that you want to go for. And it is at a certain point going to be the game plan for CNB to just start pushing very slowly, but it will be helped out by the fact that he has this additional Necrobook to help out.
Yeah, I might have preferred a Shiva's up for VSW, but still, it's definitely a pickup that has its merits, and we'll have to see if it ends up netting them anything. CNB, for now, are back up in their full 5-man unit, and Sad Voids can't really do anything with that pickoff. Bottom lane is being shoved out by a handful of Bat Rider illusions. Top lane now has a Naga Siren in it. That's going to consistently be a thorn in their side, and, well, we're back at square one, really. Sad Voids do not want to fight, but CNB really aren't in a great position to force the issue either.
They will slowly get into a position to force the issue as so many heroes group up in the mid lane will slowly start to shove that. Bottom lane is being pushed towards the Dire, but with CNB's clearing and damage right now, I don't think it's going to worry them too much in this game that one lane is pushing in. They'll gladly take a 2-for-1 lane exchange if Sad Voids present CNB with that opportunity. Right now for CNB, they have to be a little bit scared about stalling out in this game because even though Naga Siren is a very dangerous hero, she doesn't get any stronger than this, at least not that much stronger. And she's also walking into a pretty bad position, spotted by the Night Stalker vision. Have the Slark here, plus the Shaker. This Naga Siren might be dying right now. She doesn't really have backup plots. Is going to get vision on the right side. However, there's so much damage here. She has to try to get this song off. It won't happen. She's going to die. 90 seconds on the sidelines. Sad Voids have to push something right now, at the very least to force buyback.
With no Manta style, very hard for up towards top. BKB forced out already on the Bat Rider. Can he actually make his way out? He'll slow them down a little bit, but they'll still continue to pursue. In fact, they're going for VSW up in the north. He's going to be forced to BKB TP out. That is going to be successful. No Basher up for Zap Branding, and Fisher not going to connect onto the Bat Rider as he makes his way out too. Although it's a really important pickoff for Sad Voids. The Naga does have buyback, and Suze is still pushing bottom.
Well, they're pushing out mid lanes SV pretty darn hard. And the rest of the heroes should be reinforcing that. Storm Spirit is going to have to TP back. This is time for Sand King and Lion to once again make some big plays. VSW, though, in a precarious position. There's a gem off the sideline. Bat Rider will escape. He does get silenced, however, and he will get walled off with a fissure. Ned, he does have a buyback right now. Storm Spirit even going to jump in, trying to assassinate an Earthshaker right now, but he's taking so much damage. He will not get the kill. Finger Death will fail to do that as well. Rubik now going to steal something. Won't be enough to kill out Suze, but Alamau got baited into that fight, and he'll die as well. Bat Rider forced to buy back. Naga Siren's got to buy back as well. Did CNB just throw away the game that they recovered from? Because they're going to lose their mid lane at the very least. And they have fortification, but 15 seconds on the sidelines. You don't want to buy back with Naga Siren when you have this much time left.
Again, Bat Rider Lasso connects onto the Night Stalker. The follow-up is coming in with the Epicenter Burrow Strike onto Zap Brannigan, but he's still too darn tanky. Zipping from the Storm Spirit, goes up to the north. Suze is stuck inside the wall of Replica as he gets lassoed up in kind by Kezia. Leap in from the sidelines. That's going to be a buyback from the Storm, and now Naga Siren's joining the fray into the middle of the mix. Long zip in, Scythe onto Gix. Gix is dropping low, but he does have his ultimate to buy himself some little extra healing as well as space. Darkseer down with the Song of the Siren, catching out Gix and Zap Brannigan. They need vision onto the Slark, but they can't find find him. The Shadow Blade keeps him alive, but they lose their Night Stalker in kind. CNB, all they lose is the ranged barracks in mid, but it does cost them a Storm Spirit buyback as well as a buyback on their bat.
Well, crucially though, the Naga Siren was not forced to buy back, so Naga Siren is the most important hero, even though it's nice to have buyback in your pocket if you're the Storm Spirit, if you're that Bat Rider. It's not going to be the end of the world if those two heroes die again, because Naga Siren will still be alive. The Darkseer does not have a buyback right now, and CNB, they're going to try to crack back into something. There is also a double damage rune on the floor. That might help out, but they're just going to take this opportunity, I think, to get into a very similar position that we saw previously, where they're right outside of the SV base with all the heroes slowly starting to push in. It is risky to try to fight right now, having no buybacks, but are they really just going to wait? That's, I think, less than ideal.
It really is. Naga Siren's inside the base, walled up by the Fissure. She's going to get lassoed up and Echo Slam. Cloud2's not taking that much damage, but now that Gix is going to start opening up into her, it looks like she might be able to make it out. However, with the Song TP, BKB on Gix, he's still trying to pursue. The mini bashes mean that Cloud2 can't actually TP out. They have the Bat Rider in, Storm Spirit zipping in, 2 buyback from the Night Stalker jumping in. Gexo's getting pulled back, Silence Up is going to get dropped down. Rubik also going to take his spill. Necrobooks are going to be killed left and right. Buyback on the Earthshaker and Night Stalker both. Lasso blink away. Night Stalker isn't going to be able to pursue onto the Bat any further, but Gix now inside the Shadow Blade, and with that map hack vision, it is nighttime from darkness. Four Staffs out trying to buy some space. Nice spike onto Zap Brannigan as the Slark finds himself. Naga Siren in the bottom. Klotz2 trying to run away, gets pounced down, can't make it out. Klotz down, does have buyback, however. It isn't the end of the world yet for CNB, but Sad Voids have found themselves a big advantage. But then again, the Sand Kings inside their base, they get the barracks up towards top with the Necro Book and the pushing power. BKB trying to make it out with the Blink Dagger. VSW will, and the TP is going to succeed. CNB, is that a win or a loss? I can't tell you.
I think that's a win. They forced out so many buybacks from the Sad Void side, and because the Sand King was actually taking Raxes, first of all, it's Raxes, and that's really nice for CNB to have, but also SV have to go to the top lane and actually try to deal with that. And while they're going to the top lane, they're not actually straight pushing in mid, therefore the Naga Siren might not have to buy back here either. So that play from the Sand King is actually going to result into what looked like was going to be pretty bad for CNB into something that looks really good for them instead. Unfortunately for them, Naga Siren is not going to be up for another 40 seconds, and Roshan is going to be up in like 10. So this is going to be a tough Roshan fight to contest. Maybe we see potential here for some shenanigans. Storm Spirit, Bat Rider, fantastic at fighting this Roshan pit. They both can easily steal an Aegis. But now the rack score is tied, and that's pretty darn scary for Sad Voids. If you were, you know, what, 20 minutes ago they had the first melee racks down, they're not supposed to be in this position in this game ever.
Zeus is trying to solo Roshan. This is so glacially slow by him. He does have a team behind him soon enough, but can he actually do this? I don't think so. Zip TP. Zeus finds that Roshan is too much.
Yeah, it turns out the boss of Dota is actually the real deal. Naga Siren, though, is going to respawn naturally. Will get converged upon pretty quickly. Double invis. Night Stalker grabbing a rune to help him in that. They're not going to make the jump just yet. And though they have shoved out top lane as best they can, double super creeps in both melee range, going to make it so that Sad Voids will eventually have to deal with their top lane. And CNB, they're also getting a little bit of momentum down towards bottom. SV can't do anything with it. They have to retreat again. They might catch out the Naga Siren, however, because she is wandering around all by herself. Klotz, this is not where you want to be. Song TP is not there either for another 10 seconds. Klotz, oh, this is bad. I think it's buyback time for the Naga Siren. She has 5 seconds. Can you sing? She could sing then TP right now. I think she's going to be okay. There's actually a fissure on the offsets of it. It's not going to work because he blinks right into it. Everyone blinks right into it, in fact. Naga Siren lucky to get out of there with her life.
A close skate with death, but in the end it works out well for CNB as Naga Siren's going to draw the entire Sad Voids team back, push out the lane, and make it out alive. You can't ask for much more. Bat Rider down towards bottom, doing a similar split pushing business down towards there, and Sand King doing the same in mid. With this space, they're going to look to finish off this Roshan that Zeus failed to do so earlier. This time, Klotz 2 is going to make this a lot easier. With the Heart as well as the Butterfly to tank and the Scotty slow applied, they can actually do this. This is a second life for Zeus and a cheese for the team. Probably going to be used by the Storm Spirit eventually, but also probably not held by him.
Yeah, but crucially, the Aegis and cheese, even if they destroy it right now, it's not going to hands of Sad Voids. That's really what they want. The cheese is going to be on the deck for a little while longer. Now they're going to see a couple heroes over in mid jump in. from the Storm Spirit, going to go straight towards Gix. However, he fails to pop his own BKB. Now can take a lot of damage. Looks like the Aegis might not last for very long. Ned will get the lasso finally onto Gix. Zap Renegade is going to go down. Big Echo Slam, though, from Gexos. Can land onto pretty much everyone. Everyone seems to be dropping very low. They will lose the Bat Rider. Now the wall goes down. They will maybe take down Gexos, but Klotz taking so much damage in the meantime. Will Song, no dots here? She's gonna live? No. Darkseer random Ion Shell got the kill?
No, it was Radiance Burn from her illusion. She was standing in the wall the whole time and she got wrecked.
Oh man, I have never seen Radiance Illusion Steal be that relevant, but Soothes is gonna make his return to this fight. Kezia has stolen Ball Lightning and it looks like Soothes is unwilling to chase. It's a Aegis down 3 for 1 in favor of CN. Oh, VSW. Yeah, you're not going to erase the Slark there. Only needed one more hit to actually get that kill, but now CNB are down many of their heroes. The split push attempt from the Sand King, valiant, but it wasn't enough to kill off the melee racks, and now only the Storm Spirit and Lion survive. They have buybacks. Will they have to use them?
That's the question. I don't think the answer is yes, though. They don't have a Night Stalker for 40 seconds, and although Slark is really scary, his actual ability to push out these lanes is completely tied up in this Mjolnir for the most part, and even with it, he's the only one that can do it for Sad Void's side, at least convincingly. So the Rubik and Earthshaker are trying their best in mid, but they're going to end up losing life. Kezia is zipped upon by the Storm Spirit. Long range fissure, gonna buy him enough space as Storm Spirit spent the majority of his mana getting there in the first place.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice kill if you can get it. Otherwise, it's not really a terribly huge deal there. It's hard to kill off someone with Ball Lightning, as the Storm Spirit definitely knows, and Kezia is still holding on to that one for quite a long time. Sad Voids, they are going to make an attempt at this mid lane. However, the Storm Spirit, if he has BKB up, he's powerful enough to defend, well, maybe not up against now Gix arriving. This Naga Siren's going to be up in 7 seconds, however, and the Bat Rider's going to respond naturally. They're going to once again try to go for the top lane, which is fortifiable from CNB. They will use that immediately. Buyback from Sand King as well. Can CNB make yet another defense? Gix, he's going to get lassoed. However, he has the pack to charge up. No, actually an Iron Shell. He's going to get isolated and he's going to die. Melee Rax, though, going to die. Soothes going to try to get onto Gexos. Going to pull him back, do a lot of damage. Earthshaker completely surrounded. Can't quite get a good Echo Slam, though, and he will be going down. Kezia also is in a little bit of trouble, though he has Ball Lightning and will get miles away. He will be just fine, as will the Darkseer. But Slark is down. Shaker is down. CNB lose another Melee Rax. Is that really relevant? I don't really think it is, because they haven't had to use the buyback on this Naga Siren yet. They could go for another push and try to force out buybacks from the SV side now.
Yeah, I think they should. There is no buyback on the Earthshaker, however, and Sad Void's teamfight's looking a lot sketchier without the lockdown that he's going to provide. And, well, Slark definitely doesn't want to buy back. He'd love to be able to get an Abyssal Blade. We have Boots Travel up for the Storm Spirit. He's at the ready to join the fray, and Klotz2 is leading a charge through the middle lane.
Night Stalker illusions, killing off range racks, but over towards mid. SV, they're going to have to make a defense right now. There is backdoor protection, however, and Klotz is not going to be making this push happen anytime soon. However, there's a catapult coming. Zap Renegade can get Hex and force out the buyback from the Slark. CNB going to make a clean retreat.
Down towards bottom, however, the Naga Siren Illusion's doing a decent chunk of work to the melee barracks, dropping it to about the same slot that the Sand King did previous, but they're not down yet. CNB will need to commit a little bit more than that in order to actually get the barracks. The Night Stalker Illusions actually did next to no damage to the barracks up top because they also have backdoor protection. He's doing 1 damage per every 4 hits.
Sounds like bad value to me.
I mean, it's something.
Yeah. Give him 10 years, he'll get it done. Never mind. They're dead now, but even though CNB haven't actually taken any buildings with this push, they're still making all lanes get a little bit closer to the Sad Void's base, making it a little bit easier for them to jump in if they find an opening right now. So the map presence is once again towards the side of the Radiant. That's exactly where CNB want to be. With such mobility and with the Storm Spirit packing a regen rune, skipping from top to bottom to mid is so easy for them. And then when you're doing that, eventually someone's going to slip up and then get caught out, like Karuba down towards bottom lane, who might take a lasso. Link in, Epicenter is being primed as well. Burst Strike through 2, but it's only a 2v4 right now, and they have to disengage. 4 staffs out from everyone. Ball Lightning forward from Kezia. Will steal a Burst Strike right now, try to go for VSW, but over in the meantime, mid lane tower is going to die. And even though they use the lasso and the Epicenter, they get a little bit more structural damage onto the SV base. So I think you can classify that as a win for CNB, assuming they don't fight until the lasso is up again.
Yeah, I think so too. The ranged barracks in mid, although it doesn't take a lot of damage, it's the chip that counts. Naga Siren getting converged upon up top, but Klotz is backed off enough. It is also worth noting that in the fight around the mid area, the the CNB side did lose their courier. It was holding onto a Shiva's Guard recipe, I believe, for the Storm Spirit, as well as the Naga Siren's Necro Book. Once it's back up, that'll be a Necro Book 3 for Klotz 2-2, and your Shiva's Guard completed for the Storm.
Yeah, it is going to get to that stage where we see 6 or 7, 8 slots worth of items for the Naga Siren.
Why'd you do that? The line just destroyed a cheese. I don't know. He must really hate Camembert or something. I don't know.
Well, he had an empty item slot. So, there's that.
Yep. Okay. It doesn't matter.
It.
Yeah, he really did. I don't know. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I don't think that cheese really changes anything, but come on, at least sell the thing.
Hey, 500 gold could be the difference. Everyone, or the Storm Spirit is now officially 6-slotted. I think you probably keep your Orchids. The only thing I would think of replacing an Orchid with ever is a Sheepstick, and obviously he already has that. So, yeah, I think he's pretty much done. This is going to be pretty much it. Nightstalker actually can get a lot stronger. Has a Hyperstone and an Assault Cuirass, I'm sure, is incoming for him if he can get the farm. That's actually going to be a pretty relevant item.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, no courier.
So. Oh.
No.
He'll survive. That's the Necro Book 3 for the Naga. That's her pantry courier.
Is there actually an extra courier? No. I guess you don't really need a real courier here if you have this state of the game.
Yeah, if they needed another courier, they'd probably just buy it.
They could buy like 3. Couriers for everyone. Your own personal courier to get the Refresher Orb on Storm Spirit for that extra sheep. And Ball Lightning Refresh.
Well, Necro Book's on the ground for Klotz, and he'll send that barreling down the bottom lane. Again, it's the chip that counts, and that's what they're going to get.
Well, bottom lane is potentially going to be where a fight is brewing. SV cannot afford to take it right now because their Slark is way too far away. Gonna grab an Abyssal. Now he's officially 6-slotted as well. He is kind of easy to kill. Only has 13 armor right now. Usually for Slarks we have a lot more, but he's dishing a lot of damage. And if CNB can't get a Hex or something on him, then they will just regret leaving the Slark alive. Batrider is Fireflown up into the air. Will not really do that much. This is, oh man, such a deadly dance right now.
It is. I mean, it's super late in the game, and we haven't seen action for a while, but still, if either team finds an opening, the game could be over just like that.
Oh, like top. Gix, he's going to get hit with the Orchid and the Sheep and the Echo and the Epicenter. Gix is going to die with no buyback. At a certain point, you're going to make that slip up, and that was it. Karuba also on the bottom lane is in a little bit of trouble. Cannot get anything out as he's hexed up. He will maybe get out, but no, Soothes comes in with his Shivas. Will obliterate that Darkseer, who does have a buyback, fortunately for SV. But with no Slark, can they actually defend this? Lasso onto Zap Brannigan. In the meantime, he's going to pulled right back into Klotz. Low on mana, this Naga Siren, but Soothe is still doing the damage. Wall finally goes up. Kezia's using that Stolen Burrow Strike to pretty decent effect, but they get to the backline where Gexos is going to get locked down. No Echo Slam is going to be available to the SV side. He does have a buyback, though, but the Raxes are taking a fall. Ned, in the meantime, being chased down by Zap Brannigan, will take a fall himself. Burrow Strike through 2 is Klotz, dropping very low, will end up giving his life. In the meantime, we have Alamo being focused down by the Darkseer and the Shaker. He will go Scepter out, has a Force Staff cooling down. He will get to the low ground. Can he actually survive? It looks like he has a chance right now. Storm Spirit is going to buy back. Still in the base. Sand King is there, but Soothe is going to man up for a 1v4. Probably a little bit too much, and he will use a lot of his mana to get out of there. But they have taken Raxes in the bottom lane. Even in mid lane, the range has fallen in the midst of all of this. Still, the Slark is down for another 50. Klotz is going to get to work on that. Darkseer taking a lot of damage from that Naga Siren. Will get the Sheep out on the correct target. Can they kill off this Naga Siren, though? If they do, it might be game. Rurik is going to buy back, but they're rushing for the Megas, and they can't kill off Klotz fast enough. They don't have the CC. Mega Creeps are now there. Klotz just has to worry about retreating now. Does have Ned coming in for a little bit of reinforcements. Klotz still at above half HP. The Song of the Siren in to walk the hell out of there. Ned is in a little bit of trouble being chased down by Gexos. Will pop a BKB himself. Has a Blink Dagger cooling down, and it looks like he might be home free, although he can't quite blink out. He will take a fall right now, and he does not have a buyback. It's Megas, though. CNB have gotten Megas. Is that it? Is that going to be game, or is there more?
There might be. If there is going to be more, Sad Voids need to do it now. It's pretty much smooth sailing for CNB at this point. Just wait 110 seconds and then go again. They can just keep up this pressure constantly. We have an Aghanim Scepter up for the line as if they needed any more ways to actually clear out these creeps. Sad Voids need to do something desperate, and as long as Klotz 2-2 stays in the base, or at least stays comfortably safe and spams out his illusions, I think this one's in the bag.
Hell, they could even wait for 5 minutes and then wait until the Naga Siren has her buyback again. I think by that time, everyone on CNB will have at least the buyback cooldown. Yeah, Sooths is also waiting for his. So CNB right now, you play as safe as you possibly can. Even Klotz going up to the top lane to shove that one out is inherently dangerous because if you lose the Naga Siren, they might lose the game instantly just by a throne push from SV. So get buybacks, get safe, and then just wait.
Well, Diffblade 2 picked up by the Naga this is going to require some amount of pretty intense micro to actually pull off. But if you can do it, drop the Diffusal Blade on yourself in place for the... What do you replace?
Manta? Radiance? In the midst of the fight, you only need one illusion with Radiance. All the rest is redundant, and I think that might be the play.
Okay, fair enough. And then you just barrel down.
Ezia, speaking of barrel down, Rubik, a little bit too bold, is going to get picked off. He's down for 2 minutes without buyback. And I think that's it. That was the quote-unquote doom push from SV, and that really didn't get anywhere. So it seems like they want to end this game right now. Yeah, they've even replaced the Radiance with the Diffusal Blade straight up. That's a small amount of burn damage. Not too relevant anymore.
No, definitely not. Klotz is sitting on a truckload of agility, and really just is a one-man wrecking crew. Storm Spirit kills off the Slark! Holy cow, if it wasn't game already, that's it. GG.
Yeah. The second time Sooths picked off the Slark, first time a little bit closer to where the tier 2 once was in the top lane. That was what put SV into this entire situation. And Slark, he doesn't have that much armor. He has Eye of Skadi as a survivability item and BKB, and that's it. No butterfly or anything like that. So just like that, the Naga Siren wins again.
Both accounts, it was Sad Void's turn to end the game, but they couldn't do it. Their high ground pushes didn't end, and a lot of it's down to some really miraculous high ground defense plays coming out from CNB. Batrider got the lassos when it counted, at least in those first couple defenses, and VSW consistently with 3 4-man burrow strikes as they did the impossible, playing a Naga Siren game. I don't think there's much else to talk about your CNB. Going to be very happy that they're sticking around in the upper bracket. Sad Voids are definitely not out of it in the SA Challenge, but they are in a much more precarious situation in the brackets.
Yeah, they're going to drop down to losers, which currently has yet to be played, so they don't know who they're going to be playing up against, but CNB, they're going to be going to the winners bracket finals to face up against either Pain Gaming or Azurus, so that should be a pretty good match. Or Pain versus Azurus should be really good, and then the winner of that versus CNB should also be really good, but man, Naga Siren games, this was actually one of the more intense ones.
If you like the casting, you can follow us on HeflaTV at Twitter, Facebook, and pretty much everywhere. And the VODs we upload to youtube.com/HeflaBook. I've been GrandisV, and he's been Mikelorus, and we may or may not be back for another series, but, well, that one's going to be coming up in quite some time. So for the time being, this is going to be the end of the stream. Hope to see you on some future South American Challenge games.